Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar titled How to Make the Most of SQL with Web Browser-Based Data Access. My name is Greg Schmidt. I'll be the presenter for today's webinar. The webinar is brought to you today by Help Systems. Help Systems aligns IT and business goals to help organizations build a competitive edge. Our solutions and services monitor and automate processes, encrypt and secure data, giving you the ability to provide easy access to information people need. More than 30,000 organizations around the world rely on Help Systems to make IT lives easier and keep their business running smoothly. This webinar is focused around the SQL BI web interface and how it can give your users browser-based access to your IBMI data and other data sources on your networks. So today, during the 30-minute presentation, I'll give you some information to teach you, some of the different features of the web interface and how it can open doors to possibilities inside of your organization for data access. Users can securely access real-time data on the go from a browser connection on their laptop or mobile devices in a meeting or sitting, at the airport waiting for their plane. This will in turn free up IT's time and the user's time to request the access. Again, my name is Greg Schmidt. I'm a 21+ year veteran in the document data forms and process automation with specialties in business intelligence and document and forms automation. I've been key in helping companies automate their data and document processes and streamline their troublesome and often cumbersome business processes with technology and strategic planning for digital transformation of documents and data. I help guide companies in best practices for implementation and solution expansion within their organizations. I have also over a decade's worth of experience in the IBMI report and data distribution and robotic process automation technology areas. Here's a quick look at the agenda before I get started. I'm going to start out today with some trends that we are seeing in the business intelligence industry, starting back in 2001 and now in 2022. And then I'll be covering what is SQL BI and how can it help you as a business user, IT professional, and programmer inside your organization. Then I'll move into the topic of what is data mobilization. That will lead us into the types of access to data that we can provide with the SQL BI platform. And then I'll be doing a live demonstration around the mobilization topic with the focus around the SQL Web Interface and its uses to provide data access. And depending on time, I will also like to provide a demonstration around, access via dashboards, the Excel plugins, to show you the wide variety of options of data access for your users inside of your organization. And then we'll finish up with some Q&A at the end if time permits. Feel free to enter all your questions into the questions and chat window, and I will address them towards the end of the webinar if time allows. Please select all presenters. So if you have any questions, they are directed towards me. I also plan to complete the session in about 30 minutes, but there's a lot of great content here and I'll do my best to keep on track. Today's event is being recorded and you'll receive a link that you can share with anyone in your organization who could not attend today's session, or if you just missed anything and you want to rewatch it. We all know digital is the future, and digital transformation at some form is here to stay within organizations. It just depends on how your company chooses to move forward with it and how fast you work it into your company's IT and growth strategy. We all have been, living in the digital world for some time now and know how fast it is moving. Here are some trends that we're seeing and watching very closely in the BI side of the business. The trends on this slide are really in no certain order. All of these trends are very important to companies, to their full business intelligence strategies. But we all know that access to data is is one of the most important business needs to help fuel the growth and direction of companies today. The data trends show that remote access to data and mobilization will continue to rise to the top of the trends for most of organizations that need deeper insights into their data and what it's trying to tell them. Another top trend, for years now is reducing the need for IT resources and the enablement of business users to access the data they need when and how they need it. Being able to insert automation when and where it is needed to deliver, reports or just pure data access, via a desktop application or, like we're talking about today, a web browser is very important. Replacement of older technology. This is a big one as well that we run into, and you'll see webinars during the year here talking about Query 400. So you don't have to do special programming, or you don't have to know certain things, or have certain skills. So we can remove some of that stuff. And another trend that I believe will always be on this list is being able to give power users direct access via Microsoft Excel, to their data, right? So Microsoft Excel, I think, is the #1 business application for data analytics today, because no matter what BI solution you're using, you're normally pushing that data somewhere at some point, right, to be able to save it and do things. Microsoft Excel has become that sort of that center hub to be able to grab that information and store it in there. Our SQL Business solution enables businesses in the strategic decision-making processes, right? And gives you the tools either for IT or the business users to access the data easily. It's just depending on your strategy and how you see that you're going to deploy this, more to the business users or more of an IT deployed solution. Our mission is to help IT and business users in organizations, large or small, access and deploy their complex business data on their business systems and turn it into actionable insights. We empower IT and business users by helping IT to translate and deliver lots of data from different data sources into clear and actionable stories with an easy-to-use interface, making users more self-sufficient in accessing live data they need by removing the need to do time-consuming coding and the building of complex data warehouses by IT in some cases. Planning, gathering, organizing, and analyzing are key in the data analysts' users' day-to-day tasks. With our SQL BI solution, we can help you bring the business together with the data and easily create data stories that the business and users need to do their jobs, no matter what level of knowledge they have at the, might be at the database or at the SQL query level. With SQL BI, we use a 3-step methodology of collecting and discovering live or historical data from all your organization's business systems, no matter where they live. Understanding and designing around the data that you are collecting for real-time access to your business insights that the live data is telling you. And this can be done with data-centric views or in a more graphical manner with graphs and charts to show those data stories that the data is trying to tell you. And so this in turn makes it all easier to consume with the visual elements inside of there. And then you can share and deploy to the business users using the web browser interfaces for zero application footprint, deploy web browser dashboards, or just directly access via Microsoft Excel using the SQL BI plugin for MS Excel. SQL BI is built with DB2 in mind, but remember, it also can work with other business systems and data that live on your network as well, like Oracle, MySQL, all the different flavors of that, Microsoft SQL Server. If you have different databases out there with the data that you want to query, or any type 4 JDBC compliant database that you might have. So we also have, customers using Excel spreadsheets that they put on the network, and they query those and replace that information out there, and the data gets filled into them. We can use those different areas. So there's many different ways to be able to do that, and those different sources, I'll say. Now, the definition of data mobilization means making data available for use by others. This meaning provides actionable information to the business community. Once provided, that information can be viewed, analyzed, restated, and downloaded to your PC tools. This is not limited to just your IBMI data, like I was just talking about on the previous slide. Your users become empowered with a new business insight. Key elements of data mobilization with SQL include some of the following. Secure access, being able to give secure authenticated access to your valuable information so you know it is in the right hands. Flexible analytics, static data has its limits. So being able to get real-time access to data to your users brings them, a greater power in decision making. Easy mobility, right? Accessing the data with no barriers is key today, with all the different devices and people on the move, traveling. It could be, going in between, different buildings. It could be, accessing it from different locations inside the organization, or different, different departments or physical locations, right? Access to the IBMI and data, or Windows data. This day, single platform business information is long gone. So you need a solution that can bring it all together into one place. And last of all, easy is the big word there, right? Making it easy for the end users, easy to implement, and easy for IT to manage. The benefits of data access are a given, but the cost must be controlled, and the users also need to embrace it. Now into the types of access for SQL BI. We are always keeping the end result in mind at all times. So within the SQL BI solution, we offer a variety of ways to provide users the data they need, right, to be able to get to that data, and apply automation options if needed to streamline it for IT and business users. On this slide, it shows how we can use dashboards to share via desktop or web interfaces for analyzing key business metrics. Pivot tables for looking at data and slicing and dicing it in all sorts of different ways. Drill down analysis can be applied to views and dashboards for increased transparency to information that is used behind the scenes to create those data stories. Graphs and charts for physical representation of the data, and making data tell deeper, easier to understand stories. And then on-demand access, such as one-click output to Excel via the Microsoft Office Excel plugins. As for SQL Web Interface, it allows you to give secure data access for users in your organization. Take your data with you wherever you want to go. Users can access that data with a zero footprint, so nothing needs to be installed on the devices to access the data. They just need their a URL or a link to it or a shortcut, and then they can provide their credentials and then access the data. With SQL Web Interface, access to your SQL objects and data is secure. You can choose to require users to log into the SQL Web Interface with a valid IBMI user ID, or we also have interfaces that you can use your Windows ID, so Active Directory or business system logins. To future enhance security, the application will observe all IBMI object level authorities. The result is flexible, secure, and cost-effective access to your data. When SQL and SQL Web Interface are installed, the setup is done for you. The interface can reside solely on your IBM I with browser deployed information. There is nothing to install on the end user's PC or mobile devices. Give your users the data they need and give IT back, a break basically, right? Give that time back to them, for all those requests that they're getting for managing that data. And put a solution in place that makes it easy for all, not just IT, but also the business users and other, executives inside of the organization. But before you can give access to all that data, you need to be able to create views around it. Designing views and dashboards around the data is simplified as well with SQL BI. So you don't have to fear your data anymore. No matter what level of SQL you're at, so whatever, if you don't know SQL language or anything like that, we can help you at all those different levels to be efficient and let the technology do the work for you. So we can help you pretty much at every level, from expert level. So if you like SQL coding, if you like the medium level, beginner level, all the way down to the end user with no SQL skills at all. Our easy to use interface allows you to get to that data and tell stories with that data. All right, and here's the different interfaces I just want to show you really quick here that IT and users have to access for deploying those views. Like I was talking about, all those different layers, right? Top left of this slide is if you like to work directly with the SQL statements. The top right option gives you more of a visual interactive interface. It is laid out more like a MS Access. And the bottom left guides the designer on what to build, right? So they can guide, the guided path, right? And the lower right allows inquiry creation based on previous work. So this is guided as well, through that process. So you can have all these different levels inside of there, and sort of, a lot of companies focus on one of them. For IT might like the SQL side of things, or some of the visual elements that they bring to the table, because it's just easier and quicker as well, is the big thing. With SQL BI, you can also create date prompts with calendars inside of there, right? Multiple parameters can be used in a single prompt window. Parameters can be, nulled for most result flexibility. A single inquiry can be built to meet many users' needs. So build once and deploy to all. That's a key piece there, right? So if you build prompts in, that same view can be used across the organization in different areas, because there might be different prompts or whatever. You don't have to build one for each individual at that point. So those are really nice, inside of there. So a lot of times we're importing some of these queries. Sometimes it's a query 400, and then we're building these, quick prompts inside of there, and that gives that, quick, easy access to that data, and like I said, multiple selects and stuff too. Client tables can be built with a simple wizard. Your inquiries must contain columns, from all summary, analyze and filter elements. Pivot tables are used for easy drill down into the data, so you can slice and dice it any way you need it or the user needs it. You can also create guided drill downs for more commonly on our side called application or plan drill downs that can be built, with the wizard, and more of a flow chart to be able to guide, the designers around that. So the data is there at a push button. So it's really easy to be able to guide that. So if someone comes in there, you might give them, they might be more of a power user and you want to be able to guide them a little bit more. Or you might just say, hey, push this button, you're going to get this report. So those are more of the plan drill downs. If you need to create dashboards, all you need is basic Windows skills in here too. So with the designer, allows you to build around those different views and create those different, kinds of elements inside the browser. So there's some really cool training stuff that we do around that too. And, feel free to reach out to us as well, from the pre-sales side, to be able to walk you through some of those different ways to be able to, build dashboards. It's becoming one of those hot things now because of the charts and gauges and just the deeper visual elements of it at the high level, and then being able to drill down into it. Now I want to cover a few of the user access interfaces. So like I was talking about before, I'm going to start with the SQL BI interface, right? So the web interface, right? So starting with the SQL Web Interface, that zero footprint access to users. We'll get into that part of it there, and then we'll see if we have time for the other stuff. If we don't, I was trying to get enough time here to show the dashboards, for single interface access to data in Excel. If not, I do have some videos out there, or you're welcome to contact us for that information as well, and we can walk you through that. Okay, let's get into the live demo here. Again, I'm going to be showing the SQL Web Interface. So I'm going to open up a browser here. I'm going to go to the SQL Web Interface link. So remember, zero footprint from an access standpoint. So they'll be able to access this through, through a link on a mobile device. You create a desktop icon inside the browser. You can do a bookmark or something like that on a device. You can actually, like a Apple device or anything like that, you can create like a shortcut on the desktop to be able to access this. They're gonna, in this case here with the SQL Web Interface, they're gonna be logging in with their IBMI credentials. So when they log in with their IBMI credentials, we're gonna uphold the IBMI security inside the system. So they're going to be able to see whatever libraries that they have access to currently if they would log into like a green screen or another application. Now inside of this interface, it's pretty easy to use, intuitive interface, right? So I can come in here and say, hey, you know what? I need to put a library name in here, right? I need to go and search for, let's go into the Greg demo one here. So, but does this allow users to be able to explore all those different, libraries that they have access to inside of here? You're going to see recent ones, ones you've searched for inside of here, so they can quickly get back to them. So the interface is going to be very intuitive for the individuals. We also do have a bookmark option. So if there is something that they use on a daily basis or a lot during the week or a month or whatever like that, they want to bookmark those to find them a little bit easier. They do have that option here to be able to have bookmarks inside of there, and there's different things you can do in here, like so if there was a bookmark that you want to do, there would be a add bookmark option there. So you have different options there from that standpoint. And this is going to allow them to be get a little more granular if they want to, as they go through this process, and to be able to say, hey, you know what, I want to see all objects in here, or maybe just objects with a certain name. I want to see ones with sales or something like that. That they want to be able to browse. So this is going to allow them to get to that information quickly inside of this interface here. Now, when they find that, right, so they can search for it, they can do different things inside of the interface, directly in the interface. So if I come in here and say, hey, I want to see this, sales object, and narrow it down, and this one happens to be a view, you can actually go into those views then, right? So you can use this action menu here up on top to display the results, save results, and download the file as as a different file, maybe like an Excel file in the two different formats, XLS and XLSX, or you can do different things with it. Print it if you need to, email those results, and again bookmark those if you need to as well. So they can do different things, or they can just double click on the object that they want to be able to access. Now this is a really cool feature. Again, when you're working inside of the browser and working inside the data, that gives you all those same different options, right? So if you still want to view it and save stuff, you can do that right from the top menu here. Print, email results, all that good stuff. You can do subtotaling in here. and do different features, functions in here. Another nice feature is, hey, I want to be able to maybe create a chart and see what's going on here, right? Do a little bit of analytics on some of this data. I can actually select some of this data, and dependent on the data elements, right? Maybe I always want to see this in a line graph or a line chart, right? And see how the ups and downs of this information is going, right? So you can actually see those different points on here and do more of a line graph. You could also do, if you don't want to do a line graph, there's all different kinds of charts you can do, right? You might say, geez, I want to do this as a pie chart or something like that. Sometimes pie charts are not the best representation because it's so much data to be able to see it like that. So you might want to be able to, use different things like that, or make sure you take that in consideration when you're using those different features there. Sometimes like bar charts and bar graphs and stuff like that are easy to use and see, right? So you can analyze the data and see some of that information there. But this gives you that full capability. And you'll see as I did that, right, it's going to open these nice little fun to use tabs up here on top. So very easy to do. Then if you can email those results to yourself if you want to. So if you want to email them, you can email as a PDF or email them out as an XLS document to yourself as well. So you do have all those different options. Now, again, all types of objects can be viewed here, right? So you can view data views, you can do reports, client tables. If you need the slice and dice stuff, you can do dashboards. If you want to be able to see, dashboard information, you can do that here as well. So you can do different things like that. And I think I have a quick example here I'll show from the and I guess that is why there, because I'm not looking for that. So from a dashboard standpoint, so you can do different analysis and stuff like that, but dashboards are nice too, because you could have just a quick, simple little sales tracker analysis dashboard, right? Kind of a thing that people get to be able to see, statistics and stuff like that. But this is a great way from a browser standpoint to be able to give quick and easy access to the users inside of the SQL Web Interface. And again, this is just a little quick short demo just to show you some of these features here. Feel free to reach out to us, if you need to, see something a little bit more in depth, or walk through on your system or something like that. We can definitely do that for you. Okay, now let's get into take some time here for a little Q&A. Feel free to keep entering your questions while I review the results here. And if I don't get to all these questions, and it does not look like I'm going to get to all these questions, there's quite a few questions. I'm just going to sort of spot check some of these and look at some of the beginning ones and the end ones here. There's a lot of duplicates here as well. And some of these things I did answer already, so I'll just sort of guide people. But feel free to keep entering them, and we'll contact you if we don't get to them all here too. This is a question I think I answered a little bit in the beginning here in some of the slides. Can you access other databases and sources with SQL? And the answer is yes. SQL is IBMI centric, and it's built on DB2, right? But it doesn't mean that it's just built for the IBMI platform. You can also connect to other data sources like the slide was showing. So MySQL, Oracle, any of those, type 4 JDBC driver compliant databases. And if you need more information on that too, or like me to show you how that works, feel free to let us know that too. We can show you that really quick on how to do those, data connections. There's a simple little wizard or administration screen for that. Here's another one. Do you need SQL training? This is a good one, actually. We get this a lot. Do you need SQL training to be able to use SQL BI solution? The answer is no. You don't need training. There's some things that we do during the trial process that we can guide you through there, and it's pretty intuitive once we give you that hands-on kind of experience with it. But we do have a lot of customers that like to do training, right? Large group training or one-on-one training, train-to-trainer kind of stuff either as well, because they like to know the best practices and tips and tricks around building views in the data, right? So keeping it simple, right? So yeah, you can always go the wrong direction with any application. So we want to make sure that you get off on the right path. And this one was actually towards the end here. There are a couple of you that already have sent messages and liking to set up a demonstration for the SQL Web Interface and to check to see if you have it installed on your system. So you must be current customers then at this point. But yeah, so we can definitely do that. So we'll be contacting you to be able to set up those different sessions, so you can we can walk you through those different areas. And then that question goes along with the next question there. How do we know if we own a license to SQL Web Interface? We'll let you know if you have it installed and everything. That's the first step. So you can check that first, and then we can also look in our system. So we'll contact you and let you know if you own that license or not. All right, there's still a lot of great questions out there, but I don't think I'm going to get to all these here. So we'll be following up with you after the webinar for the ones that have been submitted already. I just want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar, and we hope you have learned some helpful information around how to make the most of SQL with browser-based data access. If you have any additional questions, again, feel free to reach out to myself or our sales team, and we'll be happy to schedule that free consultation or a live one-on-one demonstration to address any of your questions. You'll also be receiving a link to this webinar recording, so you can share with anyone in your company that could not attend today's session, or again, if you would like to just rewatch it for any of those pieces there. Thank you for attending today's webinar, and have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week.